So just wanted to jump on with you really quick as I was driving around some of the roadways here just to go out and get my hair cut. I was passed by a couple of dump trucks, a couple of semis, just really large vehicles, and a thought really occurred to me, what if one of those were to veer off and hit me and cause me to have some serious damage? Now, yeah, I mean, could the possibility come that I get a very large settlement from that company? Sure, that is one result of that. In the meantime, though, what am I having to put up with? Well, typically, large vehicle like that's going to cause some bodily harm to me. I mean, I drive a 1500 pickup, nothing too small, and would likely survive a lot of these impacts from larger vehicles. But given that they're actually carrying a lot of load, dump trucks had a lot of dirt, a lot of asphalt inside of there from the refurbishing project going along our highway here. More than likely I would have been critically injured. And in the meantime, what does my family have to do? Well, normally in these instances, we have to cover costs, right? There's a cost to actually, if insurance is going to cover injuries, well, then we have to pay out of pocket. And, for most folks, especially your high net worth individuals and your business owners, they self-insure themselves. So here's tip number one. When you self-insure yourself, more than likely, you're going to get to pay a discounted rate for your medical services. It's true that you're not going to have insurance that's going to fill in, how you usually pay a deductible, then the insurance pays for the rest of it. So instead, what me and my family do is that we actually go ahead and pay out of pocket for any medical services that we need, and we receive a discounted rate for it. It's funny, if you ever ask them, what's the discounted rate for self-pay and what's the rate if you have insurance, you're going to notice a big discrepancy there. I've always thought that kind of curious. But here's the other thing too. If I were to be impacted by a large vehicle, critically injured, if you will, and hospitalized, so one, I'm going to be paying out of pocket for those hospital services. Well, what else could happen next? Well, if I'm incapacitated for a long time, you know what? Maybe my income is impacted at that point. So here's tip number two. If you actually do have an insurance policy, check into what's called living benefits, because those are specifically designed for you to use while you're living to cover the cost of treatment, to cover the cost of medical expenses, and so on and so forth. In some cases, you could even hire family members that will care for you specifically in your home. Isn't that great? Instead of having to rely on a complete stranger, which you don't know from Adam or Eve, you can actually bring a trusted family member in to help you out, or a friend that's qualified to give you some, some care inside of the house. So that's one of the things from the living benefit side of that you can draw from your insurance policy from the death benefit prior to passing away that you can use for care. And then, of course, in the event that I were to pass away, well, then that triggers the next portion of that insurance policy, which is the death benefit. So it'll pay out fully the remainder of the dollars that are inside of the policy upon my death. So remember, if I've drawn upon the living benefits, that's going to bring down the amount of death benefit that will pay out in the end. It's not two separate funds. It's all the same fund, but given I have a more critical injury, I may have access up to, say, 50% of what the death benefits are. I can pull that out, pay, all that kind of stuff. But then upon death, I get the rest of, well, not me, but my family, my beneficiaries are going to receive the other part of the policy there. So just wanted to give these a couple of tips to you really quick, in perspective of medical charges. Maybe there's some cost savings for you there. I would also stress, get in contact with a CPA. More than likely, they're going to give you some good tips, or at least some resources that you can look into to help bring down costs, maybe use those medical expenses to claim on next year's tax returns. I know we just finished one, so hopefully you've got that done, or maybe you're putting it off until October. Not really sure, but I really do hope that some of these tips and some of these bits of education I'm putting online is helping somebody out there. I'd love to get some comments, some feedback on what you're actually thinking of the content that's being put out. I work with a fairly large team, so expect in my feed that you're going to see a lot of high quality educational pieces put out there. And again, this is for you all's benefit, and I hope it does impact somebody out there. So thanks a lot. Good having you on.